Have you ever lived somewhere that felt wrong? Like something was watching you? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever heard whispers in the dark? I didn't choose the apartment because I liked it. I chose it because it was cheap. After everything that happened, after the months of therapy, the sleepless nights, the constant feeling that my past was still breathing down my neck, I needed a fresh start. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere no one knew me. The building was old, far older than it should have been. It stood in a part of the city that felt forgotten, where the streetlights flickered and the air smelled of mildew. The Marlowe Apartments was its name, though I doubted anyone ever spoke it out loud. When I first met the landlord, he barely looked me in the eye. His fingers drummed against the desk as he handed me the keys. "Rent's cheap for a reason," he said. "Old building. Pipes grown. Walls settle. You'll hear things. Just don't let it bother you." I nodded. It didn't matter. I'd lived through worse than creaky floors and leaky ceilings. But I should have paid more attention to the way his fingers twitched, the way his lips pressed into a thin, uneasy line, the way he avoided looking at apartment 6B on the floor plan, because that was my new home, and it was waiting for me. The first night was uneventful. I unpacked my bags, set up my bed, and listened to the wind howl through the broken window panes. The apartment smelled stale, like old wood and something faintly metallic. I told myself it was normal. The building was ancient. Of course, it had a smell. But then, around 3:12 a.m., I woke up. At first, I didn't know why. Then I heard it. A whisper. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't the pipes. It was something else. Something low and rhythmic, like a voice speaking from the other side of the wall. I sat up, my body frozen in place. The room was dark, but I swore I saw movement in the corner, a flicker of shadow just beyond my vision. I turned on the lamp. Nothing. Just my unpacked boxes, the peeling wallpaper, the cracked mirror hanging above the dresser. I took a deep breath and told myself it was nothing. The landlord warned me. Old buildings make noise. That's all this was. I forced myself to go back to sleep, but before I drifted off, I heard it again. This time, it was closer, and it was laughing. The whispers didn't stop. Every night, around the same time, they returned. At first, they were faint, like a radio signal just out of reach. But as the days passed, they grew louder, more distinct. I tried to convince myself it was the neighbors. Thin walls, shared ventilation, it made sense. But the whispers didn't sound like they were coming from the next apartment. They sounded like they were coming from inside the walls. One night, I pressed my ear to the plaster, heart pounding in my chest. The voice on the other side was soft, almost playful. "Ethan." I stumbled back. I hadn't told anyone my name. The next morning, I asked the other tenants if they had heard anything strange at night. Most of them just shook their heads. One woman, a frail, elderly lady on the second floor, paused before answering. "You live in 6B?" she asked. I nodded. She frowned but didn't say anything else. Just turned and walked away. I should have left right then and there. But I didn't. I couldn't. Things escalated quickly. I started waking up to find objects moved. My chair slightly pulled away from the desk. My closet door cracked open. My keys in a different spot. Then, one night, I woke up to a horrible scratching sound. It was coming from the walls. Long, slow scrapes, like fingernails dragging across wood. The whispers followed soon after, giggling, murmuring, calling my name. I turned on the light. The scratching stopped instantly. I barely slept after that. During the day, I forced myself to act normal. I went to work. I ran errands. I avoided my apartment as much as possible. But no matter how late I stayed out, I always had to come back. And every night, the whispers were waiting for me. One night, As I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, I heard something new. A knock. Slow. Deliberate. It came from inside the closet. I sat up, every nerve in my body screaming. Another knock. Then, a voice. Let me out. I didn't move. I couldn't. The air in the room felt thick, pressing against my skin like a weight. My eyes locked onto the closet door, half expecting it to burst open at any second. But it didn't. The knocking stopped. Silence. Then, just as I started to believe I had imagined it, the door creaked open. Only an inch. Just enough for darkness to seep through the gap. I bolted out of bed, flipping every light on in the apartment. The closet was empty, of course. There was nothing inside except for my clothes and a few boxes, but the air smelled different, stale and rotten, like something had been trapped in there for far too long. I barely slept at night. I barely slept at all after that. The next day, I started digging. I searched online, scrolling through old records, news articles, anything I could find about the Marlowe apartments. And then I found it. A missing persons case. Daniel Monroe. Lived in apartment 6B. Disappeared 3 years ago. No signs of forced entry, no evidence of foul play. His belongings were still in the apartment when the landlord finally decided to rent it out again. When the police searched the unit, they found something etched into the walls of the closet. It won't let me leave. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. That night, I heard the voice again. Ethan, you're next. I should have left. I should have packed a bag and never looked back. But something kept me there. It wasn't just the whispers or the knocking. It was the feeling that the apartment had sunk its claws into me, that if I tried to leave, it would pull me right back. And then, one night, it did. I was done. I had made up my mind. I was leaving, even if it meant breaking my lease. I threw some clothes into a duffel bag, grabbed my keys, and stormed toward the door. I twisted the knob. It wouldn't budge. I tried again, harder this time. Locked. From the inside. My stomach turned to ice. I checked the windows. Nailed shut. I grabbed my phone to call someone. Anyone. But the screen was black. No signal. And then, behind me, a slow creaking sound. I turned around. The closet door was open. All the way this time. A dark figure stood inside, and it was smiling. I don't remember how I got out. 1 second, I was in the apartment, staring into that grinning abyss, and the next, I was outside, gasping for air on the sidewalk. The building stood silent behind me, its windows dark. Its entrance somehow locked from the outside. I didn't look back. I ran until my lungs burned, until my legs nearly gave out beneath me. And when I finally stopped, I was standing in front of a motel. Cheap, dirty, perfect. I paid for a room in cash and locked the door behind me. I was safe. I told myself that over and over again. But then, in the silence of the motel room, I heard it. A whisper, coming from the vent. You can't run, Ethan. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more terrifying tales. And tell me, what would you do if you heard whispers from inside your walls?